Few nations on earth have a better record in terms of producing goalkeepers than England, who can boast the likes of Frank Swift, Gordon Banks and Peter Shilton among their esteemed list of former number ones. However, whilst the number one position has historically been a strong one for the Three Lions, it has been among their weakest since the turn of the millennium. As David Seaman's England career came to an end, there was a bit of a vacuum of genuinely top-class talent between the sticks, and I would suggest England haven't had a bona fide world-class goalkeeper since the Gunners legend. Loyal subscriber Ollie Inca has been requesting this video regularly since my video ranking Manchester United number 7 since Brian Robson, and since I haven't done a ranking video in a while, I thought I'd bite the bullet and give it a go. For clarity, the rankings are based on how good I think the goalkeepers were or are, factoring in their talents across their careers and particularly at their peaks. The rankings are not based solely on the goalkeepers' performances at international level, and the number of caps they won is not taken into consideration. 15 goalkeepers have worn the England shirt since David Seaman retired from international football in October 2002, and here is how I'd rank all 15. Chris Kirkland. Sorry Chris, but someone has to come in last, and I'm afraid on this occasion it's you. One of 3 England goalkeepers to make their debuts during Steve McClaren's brief stint in charge of the national team, Kirkland only ever won 1 cap for England, and he didn't even get a full 90 minutes. Kirkland's father and some family friends once put a bet on him representing England before he turned 30, when the keeper was just 11 years old, placing bets of £100 at odds of 100 to 1. Although Kirkland only played 45 minutes for the Three Lions in a friendly game against Greece, he pocketed each of them £10,000. Formerly of Liverpool, Wigan Athletic and Sheffield Wednesday, Kirkland was a decent goalkeeper in the Premier League, but he was never really one of international class. Scott Carson. 2 of the 3 goalkeepers to have made their England debuts under Steve McClaren get us started in this video, as Scott Carson comes in at 14th place. Carson has made more appearances for England's under-21s than any other goalkeeper with 28, but he can never quite establish himself as a regular number 1 in the senior team. Carson's England career, which included just 4 caps, will forever be tarnished by Steve McClaren's decision to pick him in England's crucial Euro 2008 qualifier against Croatia. Carson made a horrible mistake which allowed a tame Nico Kranjčar effort into the back of the net, and England missed out on the finals in Austria and Switzerland. The 34-year-old is best remembered for his stints with West Brom, Wigan and Derby County, and he is currently on loan from Derby at Man City, where he is Pep Guardiola's third-choice goalkeeper. John Ruddy. Joining Chris Kirkland as the second 1-cap wonder in this video, John Ruddy also played just 45 minutes for England, coming on for Jack Butland in a friendly game in 2012. A serial loanee whilst contracted to Everton, Ruddy joined Norwich City in 2010, where he spent 7 seasons as a number 1. Don't get me wrong, I think John Ruddy is an excellent Championship goalkeeper and a capable bottom-half Premier League goalkeeper, but obviously that ought to be the minimum requirement for an England international. In 2017, Ruddy joined Wolves, where he helped the club to promotion before being replaced by Rui Patricio. Jack Butland. 4 England goalkeepers made their senior international debuts under Roy Hodgson, including both John Ruddy and Jack Butland. It's easy to forget that there was a time when Butland seemed like a good bet to become an England regular at some stage, and even as recently as the 2018 World Cup, there were many who felt he should be England's number 1. Gareth Southgate went with Jordan Pickford, and Butland hasn't won a cap since. He has won 9 caps in total, but now aged 27, when he should be just entering his prime, Butland appears to have been going backwards for the last few seasons. He has been Stoke City's number 1 since 2015, but he has struggled rather than excelling since returning to the Championship, and the Potters may need some big performances from him if they are to stay in the Championship this season. Alex McCarthy. The third and final 1-cap wonder in this video, Alex McCarthy is the first of 3 goalkeepers to have made their England debuts under Gareth Southgate to feature in this video. McCarthy began getting regular game time at Southampton in the 2017-18 season, and the 30-year-old won his only senior England cap in 2018. He had been called up more than 5 years earlier by Roy Hodgson, but his 45-minute cameo appearance against the USA in a 2018 World Cup warm-up game was his only game time for the Three Lions. McCarthy is a good goalkeeper, but he hasn't made any of Gareth Southgate's most recent squads, he may never add to his solitary England cap, and I can't justify putting him any higher than 11th. Fraser Forster. Another man who is currently contracted to Southampton, albeit he is out on loan at the minute, Fraser Forster, is England's tallest goalkeeper of all time and the joint tallest England international in any position. Standing at 6 foot 7 inches, Forster was born in Northumberland and he came through the youth ranks at Newcastle United. His big break came at Celtic, and it was during his time in Glasgow that Roy Hodgson handed him his England debut. Forster has won 6 caps for England in total, aged 32, but none since 2016. Following a few good seasons at Southampton, Forster's career collapsed a little in 2018, and he played virtually no football for an entire year. A very good goalkeeper at his best, but never an England regular, and too inconsistent to come any higher than 10th. Rob Green. Before Rob Green became a famous Joe Exotic impersonator, he was actually a professional footballer. Green played as a goalkeeper up until the end of last season, when he retired at Chelsea, although he hadn't actually made a league appearance since the 2016-17 campaign. A little like Scott Carson, Green is unfortunate, in as much as his England career will only ever be remembered for one moment, and it wasn't a good moment. Despite calls to start a young Joe Hart, Fabio Capello went with Rob Green as his number 1 for England's opening game against the USA at the 2010 World Cup. Contracted to West Ham at the time, Green made a high-profile mistake, letting a bobbling Clint Dempsey effort dribble past him as England drew 1-1. Green spent the majority of his career playing in the Premier League, but his highest ever league finish was 9th, and that probably was about his ceiling in terms of talent. Tom Heaton. If I were to guess which England boss handed Tom Heaton his debut, I would have gone for Gareth Southgate, but Heaton in fact made his international debut under Roy Hodgson in a Euro 2016 warm-up game. He came on as an 87th minute substitute for Fraser Forster, but he comes in ahead of Fraser Forster in this video. A product of the Manchester United Academy, Heaton has been a late bloomer in many respects, only making his Premier League debut at the age of 28. That debut came with Burnley, and Heaton spent 4.5 seasons as the Clarets' number 1, before joining Aston Villa last summer. Heaton played well in the first half of this season, but he suffered a season-ending injury in January. Ian Walker. The oldest keeper in this video, most of Ian Walker's England career was spent as David Seaman's deputy, but he features in this video as he went on for 2 more years after Seaman retired. Walker was never England's number 1, amassing just 4 caps in total, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a capable goalkeeper. Walker essentially only had 2 clubs, Tottenham and Leicester City, playing over 300 games for Spurs and more than 150 for Leicester. Walker was the only goalkeeper to make their international debut under Terry Venables, and the talented but occasionally inconsistent keeper, who now coaches at Shanghai SIPG in the Chinese Super League, can only come in at 7th. Jordan Pickford. In 6th is England's current number 1 Jordan Pickford, who is perhaps the hardest man to place in this 7. On the one hand, at the age of 26, Pickford has already had the best major tournament of any England goalkeeper, at least since David Seaman, given his performances at the 2018 World Cup. On the flip side, this video isn't concerned solely with international form, and Pickford has been error-prone and perhaps a little overrated at Everton at times. I think 6th place is a reasonable compromise for a man who has already won 24 caps for England but faces a real battle for his number 1 shirt over the next 12 months. Ben Foster. Ben Foster is more than 10 years older than Jordan Pickford, yet he has exactly a third of the number of caps, and without a cap since 2014, that is a tally he is unlikely to add to. Nevertheless, it is my personal opinion that Ben Foster is a marginally superior goalkeeper to Jordan Pickford, and that he has been a safer pair of hands over the course of his admittedly much longer career to date. A really steady and dependable shot stopper, Foster took some time to establish himself with a Premier League club, but he has been an excellent servant to both West Bromwich Albion and Watford. Now aged 37, Foster is still the Hornets' number 1, and he continues to impress at Vicarage Road. Nick Pope. From this video you can construe that I think Nick Pope, or Nope as I like to call him, is a better goalkeeper than Jordan Pickford, although I can still understand why Gareth Southgate has a preference for the Everton man. In terms of the goalkeeping fundamentals, or what we used to think of as the goalkeeper's fundamentals of anticipation, reflexes and handling, I don't think there's a better English goalkeeper than Nick Pope right now. As with a few of the others, Pope has taken a while to break through at the highest level, but his breakout season at Burnley was really impressive. The 28-year-old may only have won 2 caps for England, but I still think he's the 4th best shot stopper to have worn the shirt since David Seaman. Paul Robinson. Like me, former England number 1 Paul Robinson was born in Beverley, but unlike me, he wasted the chance to make YouTube videos about football and foolishly decided to play the sport professionally instead. Robinson starred for the likes of Leeds United, Tottenham Hotspur and Blackburn Rovers, in addition to winning 41 caps for England. Robinson was England's first choice for 3 to 4 years, including at the 2006 World Cup, and he was always a good, but not quite great, international player. Named as both Leeds and Blackburn's Players of the Year at various times, Robinson spent virtually his entire career in the Premier League prior to his late 30s, and I think he thoroughly deserves a spot in third. Joe Hart. Whilst a number of goalkeepers in this video have been late bloomers, Joe Hart is the complete opposite. The former non-league man began playing first-team football for his local side Shrewsbury Town very early on, and he soon found himself in the Premier League. In the 2009-10 season, aged only 22, Hart made the PFA Team of the Year and won Birmingham City's Player of the Year award on loan with the Blues from Manchester City. The following season, he replaced Shay Gibbon as the Citizens' number 1, and he went on to spend 8 seasons as first choice for one of the best clubs in the country. During this time, Hart won 75 caps for England, the same number as David Seaman himself. Hart won a joint record 4th Premier League Golden Glove, tying him with Petr Cech, before he'd even turned 30 years of age, and his status as England's number 1 seemed to be set in concrete. Then came Pep Guardiola, who took one look at Hart and said, "Not for me." In came Claudio Bravo, and out went Hart, initially on loan to Torino. 2 pretty shoddy loan moves later, the Englishman joined Burnley, where he hasn't played a single game this season. Aged 33, Hart should be at his peak, but he's out of contract this summer and will almost certainly find himself back in the Championship next season. Despite his obvious decline, at his best, Hart was one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, and he has to feature at least in my top 3. David James. Coming in at top spot is a man who the press cruelly nicknamed Calamity James during his time on international duty. David James made a couple of high-profile errors during the course of his 53 caps for England, but as stated earlier, this video is based on overall talent, careers, and peaks, not just England performances. David James was a very good goalkeeper, and almost certainly England's best since Seaman across the entire course of his career. Capped 53 times by the England team, James took over from David Seaman in 2002, before losing his own place to Paul Robinson in 2005. James returned to reclaim the number 1 shirt in 2008, and he played his last game for England in that famous 4-1 defeat to Germany at the 2010 World Cup. At club level, James starred for the likes of Liverpool, Man City and Portsmouth, and he was routinely among the most impressive goalkeepers in the Premier League. James has the second most clean sheets in the top flight of English football since 1992, trailing only Petr Cech, and I think he's the right choice as England's best goalkeeper since Seaman, albeit the best of a mediocre bunch by international standards. So that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed it, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and feel free to subscribe to HITC Sevens, the world's greatest football channel according to no one.